I said, well, yes, but there's got to be some way to make this work and make it for business and help generate income, and that's kind of where the genesis of this program was. So the three guys to my right, who will let introduce themselves, all have been much more involved in using social media and have been using it successfully to find clients and generate business. So if you guys could introduce yourselves.
Thanks, Lenny. Excuse me. My name is John Baker. I'm with a small law firm in Maplewood, Minnesota. My wife and I have a law practice there. We've had it there for about 4 years. I primarily represent veterans in Minnesota. I'm retired from the Marine Corps. I spent 22 years in the Marine Corps and went to law school after I retired. I started the first veteran court in Minnesota. We've had that up and running for over a year now. And I do mostly criminal defense, and I'll talk more about how I use social media for my practice.
Hi, I'm Alan O. I'm a solo patent practitioner in Maple Grove, mostly focused on obtaining patents for individual inventors, and also do some work for law firms, sort of some overflow and other referral type work. I've been involved with social media for well, I guess I've been involved with Facebook since you needed an actual college email account to get on Facebook. So that's how long I've been with them. But yeah, I've been kind of actively involved in using social media for business for probably the past 3 or 4 years or so. I'm also the chair of the computer law technology section, computer and technology law section. Excuse me. So that's me.
Can everybody hear me without this microphone?
Yeah.
Can we hear everybody without the microphone? Because I could see this getting to be a big pain for us. My name is Dan Schleck. I'm with Mansfield, Tannick & Cohen. I joined that firm about a year ago when they bought out my solo small practice. I've been using social media to generate business for my practice for probably 3 to 4 years now. I do a lot of work in debtor-creditor law. I do work in land use and environmental issues. In the debtor-creditor arena, almost exclusively our cases for consumer bankruptcies right now are coming off of the web and social media. So that's really where my focus is with the use of some of these things. With respect to the handout, we didn't really plan, a lot of things with respect to the handouts and the slides. In fact, we're going to talk more. These things are available on a site called SlideShare if you want to pull them up yourself. And really, I think we're just going to use them if we need to. So, I don't know, I guess we take it away. Yep. Lenny?
Okay, yeah, I should mention that.
Oh, by the way, Lenny, I follow you on Twitter. So you have at least one follower.
Sorry about that, Dan.
And I'll follow you while we're
That's right.
I love to know what you have for lunch every day, Lenny.
John, I think he's using an iPad. If anybody goes up in August to the Solo Small Conference, John won the iPad last year.
Yeah.
I tried to tell him I was John Baker and steal it, but
You did.
I should mention that the slides are prepared by Dan, so to the extent, Dan, you want to incorporate them, go ahead, or if people have questions about that, direct them to Dan. If folks here today have questions, I've got things I'm going to ask the panelists in no particular order, but I'd really like to see people ask questions or whatever you have. If it's directed to a specific person or the panel in general, feel free, but just interrupt at any time. If you want to raise your hand or just shout it out, it doesn't matter to me. So Dan, why don't we start with you? Let's talk about what social media sites you use in your practice and how you use them.
Well, Lenny, I think that you have a wide variety of social media sites available to you right now. And I think that picking the social media sites you want to use depends a lot on who you're trying to get to. I think one of the most important parts of using social media is to try to target what you're trying to do as opposed to try to be everything for everyone. I think one of the biggest mistakes that many people who try to use social media for advertising their business, not just lawyers, but anybody, is that they try to be everything for everyone and they try to target everything. And I don't think that's the best way to use your resources, especially because you could spend $1 gazillion on this, and you really spend as much as you want on this. But what you want to do, I think, kind of circling back to Lenny's question, is you want to decide what you want to pursue. So, for example, if you want to pursue business owners as opposed to consumers, I think that's one of the first kind of big divisions you make. Is, are you trying to be a business for individuals, things like personal injury, things like representation of employees in claims, family law, some of those things. If consumer bankruptcy, perfect example. If you want to work with consumers, the social media you use has to be different. Consumers are not going to go look up your profile on LinkedIn normally. That's just not usually what they do. But they will look you up on Facebook. They will look you up on places like Avo. They will look you up on Twitter. So really part of deciding what you use is to look at who you're going to go after and target for a market. I think the more you can whittle that down, the better. We're constantly collecting information on our clients about location. We're collecting information on income. We're collecting information on family size. We're collecting information on age. Those kind of things, because that's really how you establish an effective social media marketing campaign, is to look at all that stuff. You can't just blast it out there because it's going to be a waste of time and money. So it really is important to segment it like that.
Alan, tell us what you use for social media. How do you, what's your targeting, and how do you use social media to get to that target?
Well, I use, I'd say mostly Facebook and Twitter. I use Twitter for kind of sort of updates. I see something interesting on the internet or on a blog or whatever, and then if I want to distribute it to my audience, I'll put it on Twitter, which, by the way, gets automatically propagated to my Facebook. I have the two accounts linked. But I use Facebook more for sort of more interpersonal networking with, mostly with actually people that I already know. And so I use it for, I guess, sort of as a substitute or a supplement to face-to-face networking, and it's helped me keep in touch with contacts that I would not normally be able to be in contact with due to distance or just being busy, I guess.
And how about for you, John? What do you use?
Well, so I do things a little bit differently, but what I'll say is I'm on Facebook. I've been on Facebook for 5 or 6 years, or however long. It was one of the early, my kids actually got me on board with Facebook pretty early. It was a good way to keep track of then teenage kids. Now they're adult children. It's going to be a great way to track the grandchildren here eventually, very soon. But Facebook, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on LinkedIn. One of the things, as I was thinking about this last night, as attorneys, we have to, we look at words and definitions of stuff, and I just wanted to read a definition of social media real quick for us to kind of lay some groundwork here. But it includes web-based and mobile technologies used to turn communication into interactive dialogue. That's the Wikipedia, one of the Wikipedia definitions of social media. It also says that social media allows the creation and exchange of user-generated content. It's media for social interaction, which for me, I do, as I had mentioned, I do a lot of criminal defense, and there's a number of clients that I have that are currently incarcerated that obviously can't use social media, so I can't quite get to my target. So when I say I do things a little bit differently, I don't necessarily use social media to target clients. I use social media for a lot of networking and intelligence gathering for all of the veteran service organizations that are out there and everything that's going on in the veteran community. It's kind of how I use that. I use, I also have a website, and I'm also on Minnesota Find a Lawyer. And most of my criminal defense clients that are going to check me out are going to go to my website and Minnesota Find a Lawyer to get that. So I get a lot of the people that are going to refer clients to me is who I connect with social media, and I have interactive dialogue, like the social workers at the Veterans Administration, or the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, the commissioner, other attorneys. So target for me is a little bit different description. And one of the big things that I use the social media for is intelligence gathering for my practice. I'm going on Twitter and seeing what everybody else is doing and how I can respond to that. What is the latest posting from the VA Medical Center that day? What do they got going on? How can I be on the forefront of that? That's primarily that's how I use it. So it's a little bit different. I think that's what Lenny wanted me to bring my perspective of that today.
So let me ask you guys this. So you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're on another site, you know your target market. How do you now go and get people to come to your Facebook page or ask to be your follower? It's great to be tweeting all great information, but if nobody knows you're there and there's nobody following you, like I was doing, nobody was following me. How do you get people to come to your Facebook page, come to your Twitter account?
I mostly get people to follow me or come to my Facebook account by engaging in discussions. I'll comment on other people's posts. I'll retweet other people's tweets with a comment of my own, and then that actually gives me some visibility, and so maybe somebody who reads my comment will say, oh, let's check out what he has to say about other stuff, and come to my Facebook. So I think the short answer for me is by being engaged in the discussion.
Yeah, I think that I agree with what Alan's saying. I think that the most important thing to try to get people to come see what you're doing is to talk about somebody else and something else. I think that a kind of ineffective strategy is you see a lot of people out there who try to use it to promote themselves. So to say, I'm a great lawyer, I just had this case, I just did that, I just did that. That is not an effective way to build a following in social media. I think that following other people helps people follow you. I think that as you follow other people, things kind of come up through your system, and people who are interested will come and follow you. And again, I think it's important for you to kind of decide what things you're going to follow and what things you're going to focus on that site. Again, I think that all too often people try to follow mergers and acquisitions and real estate transactions and environmental issues and land use, and it's kind of an attempt to be almost a resource site or a site that has a large amount of information. That's not a good way to get a lot of followers. A better way to get a lot of followers is to pick one. I'm going to write about, I'm going to tweet, I'm going to retweet, I'm going to post on Facebook about mergers and acquisitions, and maybe even just financial due diligence with mergers and acquisitions. The more that you can narrow that down, believe it or not, the more followers you're going to get. And I think the other thing is, the way to get followers is to give stuff away. Follow me and you'll get a free white paper on the 10 mistakes everybody makes to follow in filing bankruptcy. Things like that. And an interesting issue has come up with respect to this. I work with a gentleman some of you may know named Eric Cooperstein, who used to be the lead attorney for the Board of Professional Responsibility. And we've had a discussion about this because a lawyer in New York does this. A lawyer in New York says that if you can get 10 people to follow or friend him on Facebook and follow him on Twitter, he'll send you a $10 Starbucks card. And so the question is, does that violate the rules of professional responsibility with respect to giving away a thing of value for referral for legal services? And Eric and I have had a very long discussion about this, because having somebody push a like button on Facebook is not a referral for legal services. Eric said that he agrees with the argument and agrees with the analogy, but in his opinion, the board is conservative enough that they would say, no, that does violate the prohibition. So it's interesting. I believe that the state of New York's board is not currently pursuing this gentleman, and his intent is to simply build lots of followers. And so it's kind of an interesting question of how far you can go to get people to like you, follow you. We haven't even started talking about Google+, which I think is really the new thing, and plus wanting you on Google+. So I think that in terms of getting followers, the key is to be focused and provide value to people who are going to follow you. The other thing that I do is you should put those buttons on the bottom of all your email signatures that say follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, and it just leads right to those things. I've built up a pretty good group that way too. On every email you send, you never know who's going to click on it.
I mean, we probably 15, 20 people here. How many people are using Facebook for business, for work?